The lonely CEO, millionaire, spent Christmas alone, until the little girl said, "Come have party at my place." The city was aglow with Christmas magic. Strings of golden lights draped across tall buildings, wreaths hung on street lamps, and the soft melody of Silent Night drifted through the crisp winter air. New York bustled with its usual December rush, couples holding hands, children giggling with hot cocoa in mittened hands, and families carrying shopping bags stuffed with presents. Laughter echoed from every direction. But at a small café table on the sidewalk, just off Fifth Avenue, sat a man who looked like he belonged to another world entirely. Liam Hale, 37, was the picture of success. Impeccably dressed in a tailored wool coat over a dark cashmere sweater, he had the kind of effortless elegance that turned heads without even trying. But beneath the polished exterior, his face told another story, one of quiet heartbreak. He sat alone, a nearly untouched espresso cooling beside him, his fingers absently twisting a silver ring between them. It was a matching band, the kind given in promises of forever, but tonight it meant nothing. His eyes, once sharp with ambition, now stared blankly at the steady stream of passers-by. They didn't see him. No one did. Only a week ago, he had been preparing to propose to Rebecca. She was striking, long legs, poised confidence, always dressed like she had just stepped off the cover of a magazine. For 2 years, she had been part of his world. Gala nights, investor meetings, high-end vacations. Liam believed she was his future, until he saw her. In the lobby of the Whitmore Hotel, wrapped in the arms of another man, not just anyone, a rival CEO, older, flashier, known for flaunting money more than values. Liam hadn't confronted her immediately. He had waited to see if she would come clean. She never did. Instead, when he gently asked her about her day, she lied, boldly, easily, like breathing, and that was when the silence inside him began. Now, as the cold crept through his coat and snowflakes danced in the air, he sat alone, watching love swirl around him like a cruel joke. He pressed his thumb to the ring in his palm, the one meant for her, the one that would never see her finger. He had never felt so tired. For a man who had everything, money, power, respect, he had never felt so unseen. Behind him, a couple burst into laughter. Across the street, a boy hoisted his little sister onto his shoulders to help her hang a candy cane on a giant community Christmas tree. The whole city was alive with joy, but for Liam, it all felt like a distant memory. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the music wash over him. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Maybe for others, he thought. He leaned back, glancing up at the twinkling canopy of lights above the street, his breath forming soft clouds in the air. Then, almost under his breath, he whispered, "Maybe Christmas isn't meant for everyone." The words slipped out like a sigh. Not bitter, not angry, just defeated. His voice was lost in the noise of the city, barely louder than the clinking of cups and heels on the sidewalk. No one turned, no one noticed, and Liam went back to staring into nothing. Just another man in the crowd, perfectly put together on the outside, quietly crumbling on the inside. Little did he know, his night was about to change, forever. A small pair of boots padded gently on the icy sidewalk, the steps too light to be noticed by most. But Liam Hale noticed. Out of the blur of holiday cheer and rushing strangers, a little girl appeared beside his table. She was tiny, no more than 3 years old, with rosy cheeks kissed by the cold, golden curls poking out from under a knit beanie, and a faded red dress peeking from beneath a tattered coat. Her mittens were mismatched, and in her arms she hugged a worn-out teddy bear that had clearly seen better days. She stood there for a second, tilting her head as if studying him. Then, in the clearest, most innocent voice, she asked, "Mister, are you sad?" Liam blinked. Of all the people who had passed by in the last hour, not one had looked at him, truly looked. Yet here was this child, staring straight into his soul like she had known him forever. He cleared his throat, unsure what to say. "A little," he admitted. Her face lit up with a smile as if she had just discovered a secret. "I'm Eevee," she announced proudly. "And I'm turning 3 today." Liam couldn't help but smile. A real one this time, soft and almost shy. "Well, happy birthday, Eevee." She grinned wider, revealing a tiny gap between her front teeth. "If you're sad," she continued, hugging her bear tightly, "you can come to my birthday party tonight. Come, have party at my place." Liam chuckled, caught off guard by the offer. Her words were simple, but something about them pierced through the fog in his chest. "A birthday party?" he asked. "Where's your place?" Eevee pointed across the street, to a dark corner of the city park. "There," she beamed. "Mommy made it sparkly." Liam turned his head. Amid the shadows of winter-bare trees, he saw it, faint, flickering light, like someone had strung together discarded Christmas lights and hung them in a little nook. He squinted. Could that really be? Before he could speak again, a breathless voice called out, "Eevee, sweetheart, there you are." A woman came hurrying down the sidewalk. She had long blonde hair that framed a kind, if tired, face. Her coat was too thin for the cold, her cheeks flushed from the wind, and she clutched a small paper bag in one hand. "Mommy." Eevee ran into her arms. The woman dropped to her knees and embraced the girl tightly. Then she looked up at Liam with an apologetic smile. "I am so sorry. She has a habit of wandering off when she sees something. Or someone." Liam stood, shaking his head. "No harm at all. She just surprised me." Eevee tugged at her mom's sleeve. "Mommy." He was sad. "I invited him to my party so he wouldn't be sad anymore." The woman's face turned a shade of pink, deeper than the December cold. "Oh," she said softly, clearly mortified. I hope she didn't bother you. She's just very friendly." "She wasn't a bother," Liam said, smiling gently. "She made my night." The woman exhaled, then glanced down, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Her hands trembled slightly. Liam took in the details. Eevee's shoes had holes near the soles. Her coat was frayed at the cuffs, and the mother's gloves, fingerless, too thin to offer warmth. She was doing everything she could with very little. "I'm Liam," he offered, extending a hand. "Madison," she replied, shaking it. Her grip was light, cold. "Thank you for being kind." Liam nodded, then noticed her shiver. Without a word, he reached up, unwound the navy wool scarf from around his neck, and gently draped it over hers. She looked up, startled. "Oh, you don't have to." "I want to," he said. "It's warm. You need it more than I do." There was a pause. Her eyes shimmered, not with pity or pride, but with something fragile. Gratitude. From between them, Eevee's voice piped up, "Mommy, it looks pretty on you." Madison let out a soft laugh that broke like glass, her eyes glistening now, for real. Liam smiled. For the first time in weeks, he felt something stir inside. Not pain, but warmth. Liam followed Madison and little Eevee as they crossed the street and stepped onto the frozen path of the park. The sounds of the city began to fade behind them, replaced by the quiet crunch of snow beneath their feet. Trees stood bare, branches outlined in frost, and streetlights flickered dimly through the haze of falling snowflakes. They turned a corner near the edge of the park, where a small alcove formed by 2 low stone walls offered the faintest bit of shelter from the wind. And there it was. A small string of mismatched Christmas lights blinked weakly, strung unevenly across the stone with pieces of frayed twine and silver duct tape. Some bulbs were broken, others dim, but together they gave off a gentle, almost magical glow. A folded blanket served as a makeshift tablecloth over an old wooden crate. At the center sat a tiny cupcake-sized birthday cake with a single pink candle. Beside it was a small paper bag, the aroma of warm, fried chicken escaping into the cold night air. Liam stared. It was the humblest party he had ever seen, and the most heartfelt. Madison glanced at him and gave a sheepish smile, her cheeks coloring again. "It's not much," but she was so excited. Liam looked down at Eevee, who was bouncing slightly on her feet, clearly proud of what they had prepared. "It's beautiful," he said quietly, and he meant it. Eevee clapped her hands. "Sit, sit, you're the guest." Liam smiled and knelt beside the crate. Madison sat opposite him, pulling Eevee gently into her lap. The little girl beamed and grabbed the teddy bear, placing it next to the cake like an honored guest. With her small hands, Eevee lit the candle, or tried to. The first match fizzled in the wind, but on the third try, a tiny flame danced atop the frosting. Madison leaned forward. "Ready, birthday girl?" Eevee nodded excitedly. Liam began singing in a soft, deep voice. "Happy birthday to you." Madison joined in. And soon, their quiet voices blended together beneath the cold stars, surrounding Eevee with warmth no heater could match. When the song ended, Eevee closed her eyes tightly, made a wish, and blew out the candle. Applause broke out, just the three of them. But to Eevee, it might as well have been a full room. Madison took out an old phone with a cracked screen and held it up. "Let's get a picture." She leaned in, pulling Eevee close. Liam hesitated, then scooted closer. Eevee reached for his arm and tugged him near, wrapping his hand in hers. "Say cheese," Madison said. "Cheese," Eevee shouted. Click. Liam smiled at the screen, a little surprised by how right it felt. They unwrapped the fried chicken. Just one piece, and Eevee's eyes sparkled. "My favorite," she squealed. "Crispy." Madison handed it to her, but Eevee paused. She looked up at Liam, held out the piece with both hands and said, "Here, mister, this is the best part. Mom saved money for this." Liam froze. He looked at Madison, who said nothing, only offered a small, embarrassed smile. Eevee continued, "You can have it. I want to share. It's my birthday." Liam felt his throat tighten. For a moment, he couldn't speak. Here he was, a man who had sat at 10-course dinners, sipped wine older than Eevee herself, and flown across oceans in private jets. And yet, in all those rooms filled with wealth, no one had ever offered him something with such sincerity. This little girl, with so little, was offering him everything she had. His eyes stung as he gently pushed the chicken back toward her. "Thank you, sweetheart. But tonight, it's all yours." Eevee grinned and took a bite, then offered the last piece to her teddy bear, giggling. Liam leaned back on his hands, watching the tiny lights twinkle above them. He didn't feel cold anymore. Not here. Not with them. The last crumbs of the tiny cake had long disappeared. The air had grown colder, the wind picking up softly around the edges of their little alcove in the park. Yet none of them moved. Liam sat quietly across from Madison as Eevee, now drowsy from excitement and food, nestled into her mother's lap, eyes fluttering closed. For a while, there was only silence between them, the kind that didn't feel awkward, the kind that existed when two people finally felt safe. Then Madison spoke, her voice low, like it might disappear if she said the words too loud. "I used to be a preschool teacher," she said, brushing her fingers gently through Eevee's hair. "I loved it. I loved the kids, the chaos, the little hugs, everything." Liam didn't interrupt. He watched her face as she spoke, noticing the way her eyes stared past him, into a time she missed. But the daycare shut down, funding cuts. After that it all spiraled. I couldn't find a new job fast enough. Rent piled up. Then one night the landlord changed the locks. She looked down, ashamed. So we ended up here. Been about a month now. I try to make it feel like an adventure for her, like we're camping. But she's smart. She knows it's not. Liam's chest tightened. Not with pity, but with a kind of reverence. This woman had been through so much, and yet, here she was, throwing a birthday party with twinkle lights and fried chicken for her daughter, just to keep joy alive. He finally spoke. His voice was quiet. "I lost something too, someone I trusted." Madison looked up at him gently, but didn't ask. "She lied," Liam continued, "said all the right things, made me believe we had something real. But it turns out, it was just a transaction for her, A way to get closer to power, money. He looked away, the memory burning more bitter in the cold. She wasn't just with me. She was with someone else too. Someone richer, louder. Madison was silent for a moment. Then, without judgment, she said, "People can break your heart, but people can heal it too." Her words lingered in the air. Liam glanced down. Eevee was asleep now, her tiny body curled against Madison's side, one hand still clinging loosely to her teddy bear. Without a word, Liam shrugged off his coat and leaned forward. Carefully, tenderly, he laid it over Eevee's legs to shield her from the cold. Madison's eyes followed his gesture, then met his gaze. "Thank you," she whispered. He nodded, but said nothing. Suddenly, the string of lights above them flickered, then went dark. Madison sighed softly. "It was only a matter of time. The wires were half broken when I found them." Darkness settled around them, deeper now, without even the faint glow. Liam pulled his phone from his pocket and turned on the flashlight. He reached up, resting it against the top of the stone wall, the beam casting soft light downward. It wasn't much, but it was enough. The glow lit Madison's face, the golden edges of her hair catching the light, and Eevee's sleeping features relaxed in peace. Liam looked up at the light, then back down at them. "Now it looks like stars," he said softly. Madison looked up at the flashlight, then at him. She smiled. It wasn't perfect, but it was something real. The warmth of their quiet corner was suddenly broken by the sound of laughter, loud, cruel, and sharp against the stillness of the park night. A group of young men stumbled down the path, beer bottles in hand, scarves dragging, cheeks red not from the cold but from alcohol. They were laughing at nothing, at everything, until their eyes landed on the trio huddled beneath the dying lights. One of them slowed down, elbowed his friend, and pointed. "Look at this," he snorted. "Holiday dinner in the trash." Another chimed in with a slurred laugh. "Hey, princess, how's life in the gutter? Got any leftovers?" Madison's arms instinctively pulled Eevee closer, her body curling protectively around her daughter. Her eyes dropped to the ground, as if to disappear. Liam stood, not angrily, not violently. He simply stood and placed himself directly in front of Madison and Eevee. His eyes, calm but firm, met the group with quiet authority. "Keep walking." The laughter faded for a beat. The tallest of the group scoffed. "What? You her knight in shining armor?" "No," Liam said calmly. "Just someone who doesn't tolerate cowards." Something in his voice, measured, unwavering, unnerved them. After a pause, the group moved on, mumbling insults under their breath but not daring to turn back. Silence returned, heavier than before. Madison looked up at Liam, her expression full of something deeper than relief. Gratitude, respect, trust. "Thank you," she whispered. He gave a small nod and sat back down beside her, the moment stretching between them. Then Liam's phone buzzed in his coat pocket. He reached for it, glancing at the screen. The name, flashing across it, his company's flagship office, was impossible to miss. Madison's eyes caught it, and in an instant, everything shifted in her expression. Her posture stiffened. She pulled Eevee just a little closer, as if something fragile had cracked between them. "You're not just some guy who likes coffee on sidewalks," she said quietly. Liam hesitated, then sighed. "No," he admitted. "I'm the CEO of Hale Industries." Her face softened into disbelief. You're that Liam Hale?" He gave a small, almost embarrassed smile. "Guilty." Madison looked down, her hand gently brushing a lock of hair from Eevee's forehead. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because tonight," Liam said, voice low, "I didn't want to be that version of me. I just wanted to feel like a human being, and you too made me feel that." Madison didn't respond at first. She just stared at him, searching his face for any sign of pity, judgment, or agenda. But there was none. Just truth. She looked away, unsure. "I don't want you to feel sorry for us." "I don't," Liam said. "I feel honored to have met you." There was a pause. The world seemed to exhale. Eevee had fallen asleep on the bench now, her small body wrapped in the scarf Liam had given Madison earlier. Her teddy bear was nestled beneath her chin. Liam's phone buzzed again. This time, a text. From Rebecca. He opened it hesitantly. "Liam, I need you. I made a mistake. Please forgive me. Let's talk." He stared at the message. Rebecca's words were polished, predictable, calculated. He looked up.
He staggered back a step, chest rising and falling in sharp, uneven breaths. For a moment, he looked as if the ground itself had vanished beneath him. Then Elena's expression twisted from fear into something fiercer. Rage, hurt, heartbreak all tangled together. "This is because of you," she choked out. "All of it. They took her because of you." Marco flinched as though she had struck him. He stared at her, devastation carving deep lines across his face. "Elena, say, Ravin, say, if you had never come back, if you had never brought your world here, this would not have happened." Tears streamed down her cheeks, hot and relentless. He swallowed hard, voice breaking, and I failed. Rain began to fall, thin at first, then heavier, tapping against the pavement like falling nails. Marco turned toward the street. Every muscle in his body pulled taut, the air around him vibrating with dangerous resolve. "I will find her," he said. "I swear to you, I will bring her home." But Elena grabbed his sleeve, her voice raw. "What if you cannot? What if this time? What if they hurt her?" Marco met her eyes, and something inside him cracked open completely. "If I lose her," he whispered, almost to himself, "I lose everything." He stepped back, pulled out his phone, and dialed a number Elena had never heard before. His tone shifted, hard, command-like, the voice of a man feared across the city. "They have my daughter," he growled into the receiver. "Lock down every exit out of Manhattan. Pull every camera feed. I want every safe house watched. Nobody breathes until I say so."
Across from him, Madison gently tucked the scarf closer around her daughter's legs, her face tired but loving, her hands shaking slightly in the cold. Liam felt something shift deep in his chest. For the first time in his life, he saw what a real family looked like. Not the kind built on appearances or wealth, but on quiet moments, shared silences, acts of care that asked for nothing in return. He looked back at the phone. Then, without a word, he deleted the message and blocked the number. Forever. The first light of morning crept gently over the edge of the city, casting a pale blue hue across the park. Snow had fallen lightly overnight, leaving a soft dusting over the benches, walkways, and the small corner where the string of broken lights had gone cold. Madison stirred beneath the blanket, her arms wrapped protectively around Eevee, who still slept soundly. Her little face nuzzled into her mother's chest, but something was different. The space beside them was empty. Liam was gone. Madison sat up quickly, brushing snow from her coat. She looked around, eyes scanning the park, hoping to see his silhouette in the distance. Nothing. She gently woke Eevee. "Sweetheart," she whispered. "Wake up." Eevee blinked sleepily, then rubbed her eyes. As she sat up, something caught her attention. Tucked into the tree roots nearby, carefully pressed beneath a small stone, was a cream-colored envelope. Her name was written on it in elegant handwriting. "To Eevee." Eevee looked up at her mom. Madison reached for the envelope, opened it, and unfolded the note inside. The handwriting was the same, simple, clean, honest. "Eevee, you gave me Christmas. Now let me give you home." Madison felt her heart lurch. She looked around again, more urgently this time. He was gone. "Stay right here," she said softly to Eevee, standing quickly. "Mommy will be right back." She checked behind the trees, toward the main path, even near the street, but there was no sign of him. Panic began to rise in her throat. Had he really just walked away? A sudden honk interrupted her thoughts. A sleek black car slowly pulled up at the park's edge. The back door opened. Eevee stepped out, bundled warmly in a new scarf, smiling brightly. Behind the wheel, Liam leaned over and called out the window. "Need a ride?" Madison stood frozen for a moment, a mix of relief, disbelief, and confusion washing over her. She quickly walked toward them as Eevee ran back into her arms. "I found him, Mommy. He was getting something special." Liam stepped out of the car, brushing snow from his coat. "I didn't mean to scare you," he said gently. "I had a few things to prepare." Madison looked at him, searching his face. "What kind of things?" He opened the passenger door and motioned for them to get in. "Come with me. Just trust me." Still stunned, Madison hesitated for only a moment before helping Eevee into the back seat and sliding in beside her. They drove in silence through the early morning streets, the city slowly giving way to quiet neighborhoods and tree-lined roads dusted with snow. Finally, they pulled up in front of a charming little house on a quiet street in the suburbs. It had a white picket fence, a porch wrapped in garlands, and warm yellow light glowing from the windows. Madison stared out at it, not understanding. Liam stepped out, walked around, and opened her door. "This house," he said softly, "I bought it years ago. For my mother. She passed before she could ever move in." Madison looked at him, eyes wide. "It's been empty since," he continued, "waiting. For something. Or someone." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver key. He extended it toward her. "This place has been waiting for love," he said, his voice low and sure. "You brought that last night." Madison covered her mouth, eyes filling with tears. Eevee looked up at her mother, then at Liam, then back at the house. "Is this our new house, Mommy?" Madison couldn't speak. Her hands trembled as she accepted the key. Liam smiled. "It is now." Snow continued to fall as December melted into January. Life didn't pause. It never did, but something in Liam Hale had undeniably changed. He moved quietly, without announcement, into a modest home just a few blocks from the house he had gifted Madison and Eevee. It wasn't grand or sprawling like his downtown penthouse, but it was warm, quiet, and full of morning light. For the first time in years, he chose proximity to people over prestige. Every day, he passed by their street on his morning walks. Sometimes, Eevee would wave from the window, still in pajamas, holding a spoon and a bowl of cereal in one hand, grinning as if seeing him was the best part of her day. Maybe it was. Back at work, the halls of Hale Industries felt colder than he remembered, not because the temperature had changed, but because he had. Once, he had been the man whose footsteps made assistants stiffen and whose calendar overflowed with meetings about margins and mergers. Now, he paused in the break room to ask about someone's kids. He showed up to meetings and asked not only, "What will this make?" but also, "Who will this help?" The shift was subtle, but powerful. Some whispered about it, others welcomed it, but no one could deny the difference. Within the first month, Liam made a bold move. He announced the creation of the Eevee Light Foundation, a non-profit, fully funded by his own fortune, dedicated to supporting single mothers and homeless children across the city. He stood at the press conference with a photo behind him, a candid shot of Eevee, laughing as she held a sparkler in one hand, her teddy bear in the other. "This foundation," Liam said into the microphone, "is named after a little girl who reminded me what Christmas really means. It's not about presents or power, it's about love, shelter, hope." Madison watched from the back of the room, her eyes brimming. She didn't want the spotlight. Liam knew that, but he always made sure her voice, her heart, was part of every step. And her life was changing too. With Liam's support, but never pressure, Madison enrolled in night classes to finish her degree in early childhood education. It had been her dream once, before life pulled her off course. Now, she walked into classrooms again, this time as a student, but soon as a teacher. Liam never missed a moment to cheer her on, even if from the background, she didn't need saving, she just needed someone to believe. As for Eevee, She became a permanent fixture in Liam's life. On Thursdays, she had office adventures. She would march into Hale Industries headquarters like she owned the place, clutching her newest crayon masterpiece, her curls bouncing, and her backpack stuffed with snacks. She would burst into Liam's corner office without knocking, because she never had to. "Hi, Mr. Christmas," she'd call out. Every time she said it, Liam smiled as if hearing it for the first time. She would climb into the chair across from his desk, swinging her legs as she pulled out a drawing. "This one's you," she'd say, pointing to a stick figure in a suit with a big red heart drawn on the chest. "And this is Mommy, and that's me. We live in the house with the yellow door." Liam would hang every single drawing on the wall behind his desk. Executives would come in for high-stakes meetings and pause, their eyes drawn to a child's crayon world framed proudly behind him. They didn't always understand, but Liam did. He had built empires, brokered deals worth millions, and stood at the top of towers made of glass and ambition. But nothing ever felt as valuable as a little girl's laughter echoing through the marble halls of a company he had finally learned how to lead with heart. The snow was falling just like it had the year before, soft, slow, and silent, dusting the streets of New York in a thin white blanket. The same café sat on the corner of Fifth Avenue, its little tables still wrapped in string lights, steam curling up from cups held by gloved hands. Laughter and music filled the air. It was Christmas Eve again, and at the very same table where he once sat alone, Liam Hale now sat with his whole world. To his left was Madison, her golden hair pulled into a loose braid, her face glowing, not just from the chilly air, but from the quiet joy that came with a life rebuilt. She wore a red scarf, the same one he had given her a year ago, now carefully mended where the threads had frayed. She was a teacher now. Every day, she returned home with new stories, new little drawings, and little paper hearts made by tiny hands. The children adored her, and so did Liam. To his right sat Eevee, now a proud 4-year-old, legs swinging excitedly under the table, cheeks rosy as ever. She was bundled in a puffy coat with shiny new boots, and her teddy bear, still a little worn, sat beside her, now wearing a matching scarf. Eevee leaned across the table, her eyes wide with excitement. "Close your eyes, Mr. Christmas," Liam laughed. "Okay, okay." He closed them, raising both hands. "No peeking, I promise." Madison smiled and reached into her bag, pulling out a flat object wrapped in sparkly silver paper. She handed it to Eevee, who carefully placed it into Liam's hands. "You can open now." Liam opened his eyes, then slowly unwrapped the gift. Inside was a drawing, done in bold crayon strokes and dotted with glitter glue. 3 stick figures stood hand in front of a yellow house. One tall figure in a suit with a big red heart on his chest, one with long golden hair, and one small one in a red dress holding a teddy bear. At the top, in blocky, uneven letters, it read, "My family." Liam stared at it. The world around them faded. All he could see was this drawing, and the 2 souls sitting with him in the same place he had once felt like the loneliest man alive. He cleared his throat, blinking quickly. "Eevee, this is..." His voice broke slightly. "The best gift I've ever received." Eevee grinned. "It's your birthday too, remember?" He chuckled. "Right. Can't forget that." Madison tilted her head. "You okay?" Liam looked at her, then reached into the inner pocket of his coat. His fingers closed around something small, something that had waited patiently all year. "I have a gift too," he said, standing up slowly. Madison looked surprised as he stepped around the table. Then, as he dropped to one knee, her hand flew to her mouth. "Liam." He opened the tiny velvet box, revealing a simple but elegant ring, a single diamond, glinting softly under the cafe lights. "Madison," he said gently, his voice full, "1 year ago, I sat right here thinking I had lost everything. And then you and Eevee found me. You showed me what love looks like, what family feels like." He took a breath. "Will you marry me?" For a moment, she didn't speak, her eyes filled too fast with tears. Then she nodded, her voice trembling as she whispered, "Yes." Liam slipped the ring onto her finger, just as Eevee squealed and jumped from her chair. "Now I have 2 birthdays." Laughter erupted around them. Other cafe guests clapping, some raising their cups in toast. Madison bent down to hug Liam, her forehead resting against his. And in that simple embrace, beneath twinkling lights and falling snow, Liam knew he had found everything he had ever truly needed. Not in boardrooms, not in penthouses, but here, at a tiny cafe table, holding the hands of the 2 people who had given him Christmas back and a home forever. Thank you for watching this heartwarming Christmas story. If it touched your heart the way it touched ours, don't forget to hit that hype button and subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories for more emotional tales that heal and inspire. Every story here is crafted to remind us of love, kindness, and the power of simple moments. Share this video with someone who needs a little hope today, and let us know in the comments